Good afternoon. This is Jimmy Halfager. I wanted to walk you through our findings of the structural inspection we did on 423 Woodlands Court for you yesterday afternoon. As you can see, this is a picture of the front of the home. This typical first picture that we make, and then one at the rear. As we go around, and I'd like to walk you through some of the observations that we made, all of them minor. This is one corner where you do not see a concrete support underneath it. Usually the footing or the edge of the slab apparently has been broken at this point. The brick veneer is intact and does not appear to have moved, although broken areas like that are typically repaired. So this could be repaired. Here's a closer picture of it. This is just a photograph of a hole that was in the yard that just allows a potential for water to intrude. Looking at the doors, this is coming off of the master bedroom. There's some hairline. This is very minor hairline mortar separation. This bricks that are stacked on the edge is called a soldier course. So we've got a hairline fracture that runs through the soldier course and hairline down through one brick and then one mortar joint. This is minor. Here's back porch. We've got a little more pronounced separation. This is not so much structural as it is probably, given the location, as probably the weight on this lintel over time has caused this fracture, with it being wider at the bottom and then tapering to nothing as it goes up. Then along the perimeter where on any home which has fill material, there's a tendency for the fill material to erode. And additionally, for those homes that have had underpinning, there is and instances where the home has been lifted a considerable amount. It's not uncommon for this area to have separation and a space between the soil and the perimeter. There are some areas like this. Soil should be filled back, tamped, and sealed in all such areas. Home has gutters across the front and across the front only. First of all, a comment on the gutters. We would recommend that gutters be installed in all areas in almost 100% of homes, but particularly those that have had some type of foundation repair, and we know that we are putting it at risk if we allow water to drop from the drip line at the roof and then percolate into the ground. Additionally, when gutters such as across the front has downspouts that exhaust, all this does is concentrate water into this area and make us a high risk area for foundation movement. Downspout extensions and or splash blocks should be installed in this area, as well as, if needed, underground piping to pipe water away from the area of close proximity, where it would be in close proximity of the structure. And again, in addition to this, we'd recommend gutters be installed all around the home. This is one of the things that we look for is freeze boards. This is a mitered freeze board that is located at the top of the brick veneer that separates the brick veneer from the underneath of the soffit. Noted that it's got an opening, 1/4 inch or so, that has opened likely since it was painted last time. Here is one of the windows that's on the side. And notice it's got some wider mortar joint that suggests that mortar has been repaired in this area. Here is another joint. Mortar has been repaired. Not uncommon, typical for homes that have had movement. Additionally, we've got a minor fracture of a mortar or mortar separation on the side of this window. That could be sealed, and does not really hurt anything. It's primarily cosmetic in nature. There has been some drainage improvements made at this home. Obviously, we're not privy to what, how deep, how effective, but there are some catch basins that suggest that drainage improvements have been made. Here's another freeze board that has been mortared, sealed, and has not reopened. This is a picture of across the front where you can see that we're basically at street level, except with a downward slope, and then drainage is directed across, and this area it would be downward toward the bottom of this picture. This home has considerable fill material was used, or let's say it like this: considerable fill material was used in the site preparation and the leveling of the pad which this home was built on. Over time, fill material has a tendency to, and is at risk of settling, and this likely, although we can't be certain, having not seen it, likely settling of the consolidation rather of the fill material to the rear is the reason that this home had the original need for underpinning. So here's another catch basin. Notes this is a good point to make here, that this does require maintenance. We can see the dirt and mud that's in that instance. These will need to be cleaned and maintained. Going down the side, see we have a drain that empties here. This home does have gutters, but the concern is here at this location where there are no gutters, fill material, and this water runs directly off and has a tendency to soften this soil, work back underneath the grade beam, and result in higher risk of foundation movement. Closer view, and again you can tell the amount of fill that was used. There's fractures in the driveway. That's typical of what you'll see. And I'm going through the inside and looking for items of concern on the inside. In the tub, we did see there's a crack in the tile area, master bath, and there at this juncture it's difficult to say if this this instance is related to foundation movement. This is typical of what we see in other cases, and it quite likely is. Door is missing the striker plate. Some general repairs need to be done to doors, and this door did not securely engage the striker plate, so a couple of doors need work. This flat area has a fracture that goes across it, primarily cosmetic in nature. Just maintain this seal so that water does not intrude in this area, and it become a tripping hazard. Out front, the driveway has some vertical separation. Actually, this should be lifted back up to that. We have a number of foam contractors in this area that perform that service, where they can come in and pull and actually lift this back up to there. This being on the front, this being a potential tripping hazard, this item should be addressed. Next, I would like to review with you the elevation survey that we performed. And first, I will acknowledge that we did receive the old elevation survey that was done by the late Mr. Roby Kite, P.E., some almost 20 years ago. No attempt was made to do a comparison of the two. I don't feel that that's that relative at this point in time. I think what's more important is to look at what the slab profile is currently and to date. The way we did this was first we drew the outline of the home, and you'll see that this is the outline starting at the front with the front entrance. We take a 0 reference. The 0 means that's 0 inches, 0 tenths, and the slash W means it's on wood. So starting here, this is 5/10 higher on wood. This is 2/10 higher on wood, and this is 2/10. And this A in this area means that this is the highest point in the structure is in this area. Coming around, 5/10, 0, And we can look at the back. Numbers continue, -1, -1. They're fairly consistent toward the back of being slightly lower than they are on the front. So we've got from here to here, there's a 2-inch downward slope to the back. From here to here, there's 1.5 inches. Looking across this area, there's a 1-inch slope to here, a 2-inch across this direction. The greatest variation is this is the lowest area, this -2, and then over here, this is on concrete in the storage room. This is on concrete right there, and I think that must have been the dining room area. So 2 inches below the reference point, 2 inches above the reference point, makes it a 4-inch variation. Is the overall max variation across the slab. The garage, this is where the 0 reference point was taken. We measured 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points on both floor and then on ceiling. So you can see here, this is a 1/2 inch low. This is a 1/2 inch higher. That means that this actually coming across, this is sloped upward by 1 inch. From here, it actually slopes downward by 1 inch. Correction, by a 1/2 inch. And then you can see the ceiling numbers measured to be the same. And in here, the ceiling numbers do slope downward slightly. Okay, now having looked at this, what does all of this mean? This home, number one, has had some problems, likely related to consolidation of fill material. It does have some elevation variations that are present. The variations that are currently present do not require any adjustment at this time. The variations that are present and do underscore the need, though. Currently, the gutters that we have are across the front. What's needed is to install gutters, full set of gutters on this home, at all applicable areas to minimize the potential for water intrusion into the soil in the general neighborhood of the supporting components, and being able to cause additional movement. Water and expansive soil that will either expand or else contract under wet conditions is a concern in most of these neighborhoods in this general area of Rankin County, as well as other counties adjoining, neighboring counties. So in addition to gutters, maintain the drainage would be another item that a future owner should be interested in. But as far as the overall condition of this home, it is not one that, in my opinion, is in need of additional repairs at this time. And it probably is typical of what you would see in this area. In addition to what I've already said, I would repair the driveway, potentially, especially since that visitors to the home would be walking across this area. It's a liability for a homeowner. It is also a safety consideration. So that area should be repaired. And otherwise, with those items listed above, I think that's all. Thank you. This is Jimmy Halfaker. My phone number is 601-966-1291. If you have additional questions, feel free to call.